Hi, and welcome to This is Manchego. This will be the third and final part of our Advent Cheese Blitz, and while I'm thankful for the opportunity to do this, I'll just bought a whole load of other cheese samples that I have to try, plus the rest of the cheese in this Advent calendar. As it's getting close to Christmas, I'll be reviewing these cheeses away from my usual table and closer to our Christmas tree. As I gaze upon the beauty of this tree, I can only think that we'll all get through this pandemic somehow. My guess is that it will probably involve cheese. Alright, so let's start. The first cheese is Vintage Cheddar, which looks to be a different take on the standard cheddar we tried in the previous video. Smell-wise, it definitely has a smell. Not quite a medium smell, but not quite odorless either. I would say it's halfway between a slight and medium smell. Texture-wise, this is a semi-firm cheese similar to what's been a pretty consistent texture across the cheeses in this Advent calendar. Taste-wise, I'm not sure what the vintage aspect of it is, but the flavor profile is different than standard cheddar. It does have the saltiness to it, but doesn't have the same sharpness. Instead, it has a milky flavor to it and actually has a bit of sourness as well, in a good way. There were also buttery tones too. Overall, I found it quite interesting that this cheese varied quite a bit from the standard cheddar earlier, and has shown me that even within the cheddar family of cheese, there is a significant amount of variation. The second cheese is the aged Red Leicester. The original Red Leicester was actually the first cheese reviewed in this Blitz series. Smell-wise, I found it was not very strong. I put it under slight, which is very similar to a lot of the other cheeses, but it did have this interesting milky scent to it. Texture-wise, probably very similar. I found it to be semi-firm, as is much with the rest of the cheeses that we tried. Taste-wise, the sharpness popped out on this one, and it was a nice surprise. It's balanced by some milky tones as well as some somewhat buttery, caramelly, and also some sweetness to it as well. I also detected some crystalline bits when I tried it, which was interesting. Overall thoughts, this is a nice sharp yet creamy cheddar, and I liked it. Finally, the third cheese is, well, it's an interesting one. Let me explain. Much like the Mexicana in the previous video, this cheese had flavor infused in it. This particular cheese is a cheddar with apple, sage, and onion. Let's see how it fares. For the smell, I tried to smell the cheese for a while, but could only really smell the strong onion scent. So it's really hard to say, but if all I could smell was the onion, I have a feeling the cheese itself was probably not very strong. Texture-wise, it's semi-firm, very similar to many of the other cheeses we tried so far. And the taste, to be honest, I couldn't really taste the cheese. I kept tasting the onion mostly, followed by hints of apple and sage, but the cheese flavor was just covered by these other flavors. So actually I can't tell you what the cheese tasted like, except that it had onion, apple, and sage. My thoughts? Much like the Mexicana, the added flavoring covers the cheese. It's good for being an interesting combination, but I found I lost the cheese as a result. Out of these three, I would say that the aged Red Leicester was my favorite. It exemplified a sharp cheddar, but was balanced with creaminess as well. Now, do I have a favorite between all 9 cheeses that we tried? Not really. While all of these cheeses were unique in their own way, and unlike some of them for certain reasons, no single cheese stood out to me as one I would say is a personal favorite. That being said, this Advent calendar is fantastic in that it provides a variety of cheese in a single package, from simple cheese to complex flavor-infused cheese and a little bit of everything in between. Also, it's 24 days of cheese, so that's amazing, right? And that's it. Merry Christmas, everyone. Please stay safe out there and enjoy your cheese. Which of these 3 cheeses sounds like one you'd pick for a snack, or just sit down and eat? Let me know in the comments below.